All right, listen, this is just presented without opinion, okay? These are the quarterbacks that the Giants have had in their building as they wait on Aaron Rodgers. Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, and Russell Wilson. All that to say, Giants and Steelers are still waiting on the future Hall of Famer to make his decision on where he'll play next season. Aaron Rodgers will turn 42 in December. It's time for our quarterback to make some decisions of his own. It's time to play. Is it worth the hassle? Tim Hasselbeck is here with us once again this morning. Tim, is it worth the hassle for the Giants and the Steelers to wait on Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Randy, I just heard that list, and because I heard that list, yes, it is worth the hassle. Look, find me, of the quarterbacks that you just named, which quarterback is the most likely to throw nearly 30 touchdowns and probably fewer than 10 interceptions and improve the quarterback play? The reality is Aaron Rodgers out of that group. And then you factor in he's probably not due, a ton of money in terms of the contract. And then you look at the status of the coaches for both of these organizations. Some heat on both of them, and so because of it, the pressure to win is important. So believe it or not, yes, 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers for this upcoming season, worth the hassle and worth the wait.
Okay, let's look at Mel Kiper's latest mock draft 3.0. It's out on ESPN Plus. Two notable differences with his latest projection, specifically at the quarterback spot. Mel has Jackson Dart in the top 10, going 9th overall to the Saints. Shedeur Sanders back into the top 3, going 3rd overall to the New York Giants. Tim, you know that team? You know that stadium? If New York takes Sanders, is it worth the hassle to start him in week 1?
Ooh. Here's what I would say about it, Randy. If, we just got done talking about, is Aaron Rodgers going there? Look, if Aaron Rodgers is going there, no, it's not worth the hassle. But if you are, going the route of a different veteran, Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston, one of those guys, then yes, start him. Because here's the deal with Shedeur Sanders. He's been coached to play the position. He's pro ready, coming from the offense that he came from, how he's been taught. He isn't really a projection type of pick. He's more of a ready-made type of pick in terms of how ready he is to play at the next level in terms of the intelligence, the anticipation, accuracy, things like that. And so with that being the case, look, I don't think he's a wait-and-see later type of pick. I think he's hey, you draft him, go ahead and play him.
Okay. All right. Back to the QB3 on Mel's mock draft quickly. Is it worth the hassle for any team to take Jackson Dart in the top 10?
Yeah, here's my philosophy on this. Look, if you're taking a quarterback in the first round, you think he's a decade-long starter for you, maybe more. And so whether that's at 10, whether that's at 17, whether that's at 5, I don't think it matters. Like every team would sign up for, if I draft a guy in the first round, no matter what the pick, and he's going to be a decade-long starter for me and play at a winning level, then you take him. Because if you're the Saints, yeah, you're at 9, but how far back can you get to actually get him? Can you actually get there to get him? And when do you pick next again? So yeah, if you believe he's that guy, go ahead and take him.
It's Tim Hasselbeck, our QB1 on sports.
Made Myles Garrett the highest paid non-cornerback in NFL history. The Bengals came for the title, signing Jamar Chase to a 4-year, $161 million deal with a reported $112 million guaranteed, making Cincinnati wide receiver the highest paid non-quarterback in the league's history. For more on the latest NFL news, I'm joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst John Breach. And Breach, the Bengals not only took care of Chase, but also signed T. Higgins to a 4-year, $115 million deal with the first 2 years guaranteed, making him the highest paid wide receiver, too, in NFL history. So the Bengals clearly have locked up their top offensive playmakers. And despite having one of the league's most prolific offenses in 2024, they finished 9-8 and missed the playoffs. So what about the defense? I mean, the Bengals clearly got guys like Trey Hendrickson, who led the NFL in sacks last season, to take care of, too.
Yeah, this is really one of those situations where you kind of put on your blinders real quick if you're a Bengals fan. You see, all right, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're under contract now. But now you have $125 million per year locked up with Joe Burrow, Higgins, and Chase. And you have a bunch of holes on your defense that now need to be filled. And it's not just Trey Hendrickson and getting him back in there. You probably need a new defensive tackle, a couple new defensive tackles. You need more depth at linebacker. And it really got overshadowed out is the fact that Jermaine Pratt, one of their starting linebackers, also requested a trade in February. So that's a situation that still has to resolve itself. And then they probably could use some help in the secondary, especially at safety. So when you look at the spot the Bengals are in, when you have almost 50% of your salary cap committed to 3 guys, you have to go into free agency. You have to go into draft, and you have to do it wisely. So you need to find those diamonds in the rough in the NFL draft. You need to find those low-cost free agents in the second wave of free agency who can instantly fit into your system and make an impact. So that's what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have to do. They can't flash their pocketbook anymore. They can't afford to sign anyone else to a $30 million a year contract. So it's about drafting intelligently, finding free agents, and that is how they're going to have to build the back end of their roster, Maddie. So it remains to be seen if they can do that, because they haven't been super successful in the draft over the past few years. They got to get that turned around now. Yeah, and you got to remember, defensive players, they get paid too. Speaking of which, the Texans, an all-pro corner, Derek Stingley, agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension, including $89 million guaranteed. So, Breach, what's your reaction to Stingley becoming the highest-paid defensive back and resetting the quarterback market? Yeah, on the surface, this is an absolutely shocking number. I think it kind of blew everyone away when they saw it. But when you kind of dig deeper into this, this is a brilliant move by the Texans. The other team in Texas, Dallas Cowboys, they might want to take note of what Houston is doing, because when you draft a star player, somebody who immediately contributes on your team, somebody who is going to be a longtime starter, you want to give them their second contract as soon as possible. And that's what the Houston Texans did here. A lot of teams will wait until after that 4th season to give a player an extension, a first-round pick. The Texans didn't do that. They waited until after Stingley's 3rd season, and they rewarded him with this huge numbers, this $30 million per year. But when you look at the fact that Stingley still has 2 years left on his contract, he's now locked up for 5 years, $113 million. That's an average of $22.6 million per year. And that is a much more digestible number that the Texans now have one of the top lockdown corners in the NFL under contract for the next 5 years at under $25 million a year on average. So I think Houston made a brilliant move here. And on the opposite end of that, you have the Cowboys, who don't do this with Micah Parsons. He's still trying to get a new contract. They dragged it out with CeeDee Lamb. They dragged it out with Dak Prescott. And Jerry Jones is just writing these giant checks. So if any NFL team, if you are running an NFL team, if you are the general manager in an NFL team, if you want to save money, you got to get your guys that second contract as early as possible. The Texans did that here, and I think this was a brilliant move. Yeah, we're seeing that becoming more of a trend between Stingley, you see Josh Allen, these extensions getting done well before necessary, and in the long term, it's paying off. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you got teams that are looking to fill their rooms, like the Giants. They're still searching for their quarterback.